Mhm. Okay, sorry for taking so much time. So today's session is about the Ananda Marga tradition, uh, some information about biopsychology, and the 5 layers of mind. So the quote that could describe what is Ananda Marga about is from Sri Ananda Murti, and it sounds like this. This path to attain happiness I call absolute devotion. Carry on performing your worldly duties with sincerity, and at the same time think about the pure self within you. The constant thought of your pure inner self will certainly one day establish you in your original source, and this is the ultimate aim of spiritual practice. So Ananda Marga means bliss and Marga means path. Therefore, Ananda Marga means the path of bliss. Bliss is infinite happiness. It is the fundamental desire of human beings, and there is in the living being a thirst for limitedness. So how do we attain it? By expanding our awareness to infinity, by transforming our individual limited experience into the cosmic experience of the unlimited, infinite happiness, perfect peace and contentment, bliss. And Ananda Marga is the name of the system which allows us to do that. It is an optimal selection of those techniques and practices that lead to the total experience of infinite peace and happiness that we call self-realization. It is an ideology and at the same time it is the way of life, a systematic and scientific process for the fulfillment of all human needs. Physical, mental, and spiritual. It is introversial, intuitional practice, with techniques ranging from personal hygiene to yoga postures, from social service to meditation. Its goal is the all-round elevation of human beings, both individually and collectively, in all spheres of human existence, individual, social, economic, intellectual, and spiritual. It is a total response to human longing and aspiration. And so as organization, Ananda Marga has a global network of centers in almost every country of the world. Its activities encompass a wide range of projects for the welfare of humanity, animals, plants, and the whole planet. And this includes yoga and meditation centers, schools, children's homes, food distribution centers, disaster relief, medical centers, and community development projects. And the emphasis is placed on meeting the needs of the local people and assisting them in developing their personal and social resources for the prosperity of all. The philosophy of Ananda Marga is one of universalism. It is an all-embracing outlook, recognizing God as the one limitless supreme consciousness, with all beings of the universe being part of the cosmic family. It recognizes that a balance is needed between the spiritual and mundane aspects of existence, and that neither one should be neglected at the expense of the other. Hence, the motto of Ananda Marga is for self-realization and the welfare of the universe. So that was very brief introduction to Ananda Marga. And now I'll cover biopsychology. We'll see what chakra is, the description of each chakra, the importance of lymph in the human body also. There is this picture shows us every chakra in the order from bottom to top. I'm going to show it each one individually and also describe what it means. The human body is a biological machine, and the mind controls this body machine through its direct connection and interaction with the glands via the hormones and nerves. This relationship is part of the science of biopsychology. Every factor is distributed throughout the body, but is controlled by a controlling nucleus or chakra. The chakras are like substantions of the mind, each controlling their own assigned area. And just as the mind functions directly through the brain, the chakras function through their own physical counterparts, the endocrine glands. And the propensities of mind, which are called ritis in Sanskrit, associated with each chakra affect the glands and the hormones secreted from those glands, hence the emotions, physical behavior, and functioning of the various body systems. But the glands and the hormones they secrete may also affect the mind. So first chakra is called Muladhara chakra. It's located at the tip of the spine, and it controls the solid factor of the body. It forms the base of the body, giving stability to the whole structure. And the vritis associated with it are the fundamental propensities of human psychology. They are kama, physical longing; artha, psychic longing; dharma, psycho-spiritual longing; and moksha, spiritual emancipation. The lowest chakra is also the home of the sleeping divinity, the psycho-spiritual force called the kundalini, which rises up the spinal column in conjunction with progressive stages of spiritual elevation. So it controls 4 propensities located at the base of the spine, represents the solid factor or earth. It is like a base of the body. It gives stability to the structure, home of the force of the sleeping divinity, and hormones secreted directly outside the body, exocrine. Yeah, and what helps to develop it is proper food and proper posture. The next is this Vadhisthana chakra. It is located at the level of the genitals, and it controls the liquid factor of the body. It is associated with the reproductive glands, which, once active, give a sense of dutifulness to the mind, as well as some rationality and intelligence. Some propensities of the mind are called avagyana, belittlement of others, stupor, lack of common sense; indulgence, lack of confidence; thought of sure annihilation, cruelty; It's located at the base of genital organ. It's responsible for liquid factor or water. This one is glands. It's responsible. No, the glands that are located in that area reduce. Sorry, I got lost. The glands are testes and ovaries. It produces testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. It's responsible for reproduction, sense of duty and responsibility, rationality, intelligence, pubic hair, and stimulated by pituitary gland. It represents water and cleanliness. Next one is the Manipura chakra. It's located at the level of the navel and controls the luminous factor. It is the center of the body heat and energy. The hormones secreted from the glands and sub-glands associated with it manifest the propensities of shyness, shamefulness, melancholia due to over-secretion, and fearfulness due to under-secretion. It's responsible for shyness, sadistic tendency, envy, staticity, sleepiness, melancholia, peevishness, yearning for acquisition, infatuation, hatred, revulsion, fear. Luminous factor, adrenals, pancreas, prostate is located in the same area that produce adrenaline, insulin, prostatic, and female counterparts. It's the shelter of body heat and energy. It's the center of the body. It regulates digestion. Also, fight, flight, or fright response is there as well. Glucose metabolism and shyness. The next one is the Anahata chakra. It's located at the center of the chest. It is responsible for feelings of love, mostly. It controls the aerial factor. It is the base of love and all higher human wants. If there is a high secretion of hormones from this area, then love for children is expanded into universal love. This chakra is fully active after the reproductive glands start functioning. It's also responsible for hope, worry, effort, love, mindness, vanity, conscious discrimination, mental numbness due to fear, ego, hypocrisy, argumentativeness. Famous is there. Receives light from celestial bodies. Its circulation, it's responsible for circulation and respiration, immune system, love, base of all higher human wants, and proper breathing, fresh air. The next one is Vishuddha chakra, and it's one of the higher chakras that are more spiritual in nature. It's located at the throat, controls the ethereal factor. The thyroid gland associated with it regulates the body metabolism and gives the quality of self-reliance to the mind. Quarrelsomeness and irrationality result from undersecretion. The parathyroid glands, or either side of the thyroid, contribute to metabolic regulation, as well as intellectuality and rationality. Undersecretion from these glands causes vanity. So it's located in the throat, responsible for ethereal factor. Some of the starting to forget English words. Some of the propensities it's responsible for is, or when we get to that chakra in meditation, we start to hear different sounds. It represents an acoustic root of creation, preservation, and dissolution. And some others. It controls whole body metabolism, intellectuality and rationality, speech, mustache, self-reliance stimulated by pituitary gland, in inverse relationship to lymph glands. And we can improve or get to that higher chakras by performing some asanas, such as shoulder stand or fish. The next one is Ajnana or Agya chakra. It's located between the eyebrows. It's directly associated with the pituitary gland. This gland controls all lower glands through its numerous hormones and nerve connections. It is the seat of the mind. It balances the spiritual and mundane tendencies and causes extroversion of mind during the daytime. It represents mundane knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Controls all lower glands, balances spiritual and mundane tendencies, extroversion of mind, stimulated by hypothalamus and inhibited by pineal gland. It's responsible for concentration, positive ideation. No, it's not responsible. It's what we can do to help to work with it, is concentrate better, use positive ideation and morality. And the Sahasrara chakra is located at the crown of the head. It is associated gland, the pineal, is the master gland, the overall controller of both body and mind. It is the biological clock of the body and is responsible for introversion of mind at night. Its secretion counters stress and gives the feeling of bliss. So it's located at the crown of the head, represents soul. Pineal gland is also there, produces melatonin and controls mind and body. It is a master gland. Introversion of mind, night, biological clock, counters stress, and the feeling of bliss. Stimulated through meditation. So the lymph is also very important in our body because the lymphatic glands supply raw material, lymph, to the factories, the glands, and the surplus lymph goes to the brain and provides food for the nerve cells in the cranium. When lymph comes in contact with an activated gland, hormones are created. There are a lot of information about lymph, but I will share this presentation so you can read. I would like to focus on the 5 layers of mind. And in Sanskrit, the layer of mind is called kosha. And I would like to describe each the koshas. According to Sri Ananda Marga, all living beings need a base, adhara. In the absence of a base, they merge into the ocean of the cosmos. Suppose there is a cup of water in a pond. So long as the cup exists, the water in the cup also exists. But if the cup is removed, the water is in the cup will merge with that of the pond. The base of that water is the cup. It is only when the cup is removed that the water it contains merges with that of the pond. Similarly, the soul merges into Brahma when there is no base to embody it. So our body and our koshas or layers of mind is like the base for our existence. If we didn't have it, we would merge with the Supreme Consciousness. Here the scheme of koshas. The first one, or the 0, 1, the one before the 5 koshas is Annamaya kosha, or body. It is said that Annamaya kosha is also a layer of mind. So it means that body is just the same as the other koshas, also a layer of mind. It can be considered to be so. But the first official layer is Kamamaya kosha, or conscious mind. The second is Manomaya kosha, subconscious mind, or memory, dreams. The third, 4th, and 5th are called causal mind, or Karana manas. In psychology, collective unconscious mind. And so the first of them is Atimanasa kosha, responsible for intuition. Next is Vijnanamaya kosha, true discrimination. And the last one, Hiranamaya kosha, pure I feeling. So the first one, Annamaya kosha, or body. The outermost layer of the mind is actually the physical body, which we can consider to be the 6th layer of the mind. This physical body is formed from the food we eat and is known in Sanskrit as Annamaya kosha. By admitting that the body is the base of the mind, Ananda Marga philosophy avoids the duality of mind and body, which has troubled some philosophical systems. Also, by accepting the body as an integral part of the mind, the practitioner of Tantra yoga includes the development of the body in the program of spiritual development. The need to integrate a concern for the body is an overall program to develop the mind is demonstrated in the story of Gautama, the Buddha, who in his final quest to attain enlightenment vowed to sit in meditation until he reached his goal. He sat for several days without eating or sleeping, but his body gradually weakened until he was no longer able to maintain the position in meditation. Fortunately, a young woman saw the plight of Gautama and brought him a bowl of food. He ate the food and with renewed strength continued in his arduous spiritual practice, and after several more days realized his true self. I also included quotes by Sri Ananda Marga or the description of Ananda Marga, but it uses a lot of Sanskrit words, so it's hard to understand from first glance, but you can read it later. Kamamaya Kosha, or the first actual layer. Beyond the Annamaya Kosha, we find the first non-physical layer of the mind, which is known as Kamamaya Kosha. Kama means desire, and it is this layer which controls and guides our relationship with the exterior world. The work of the sensory and motor organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, limbs, etc., are governed by this kosha. It is this layer of the mind which is at work during our normal waking consciousness. It senses the exterior world and helps our motor organs to react to the world. It is known in Western philosophy as the conscious mind. If someone sees a piece of cake and then desires to eat it, and finally, if his or her motor organs begin to carry out this desire, then we have a typical operation of the Kamamaya Kosha. Next is Manomaya Kosha. Going further into the mind, we find another layer known as the Manomaya Kosha, which is also known as the subtle mind. This is the layer which governs memory. All memory is stored here, and we can recall a previous experience due to the capacity of this layer. In addition, the mind's ability to process and use previously acquired data also depends on this layer. An example of its operation is found in a university student who reads many books in preparation for an examination. At the time of the examination, there may be one or two questions, and it is the Manomaya Kosha which recollects the diverse facts from all the books and helps to synthesize them into a coherent response. The Manomaya Kosha is known in psychology as the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is active during sleep, while the conscious mind, Kamamaya Kosha, is inactive. Dreams take place in this layer. A further function of the Manomaya Kosha is that pleasure and pain are experienced here. And so the next three layers are called Karana Manas, or causal mind. And like many schools of Western psychology, Ananda Marga philosophy states that the mind does not end with the subconscious layer. Beyond the Manomaya Kosha, there are three layers, which are collectively known as Karana Manas, or causal mind. Some psychologists, notably Carl Jung, have called this the unconscious mind. This causal mind is concerned with the intuitive capabilities of the human being, but due to the constant activity of the conscious and subconscious minds, it is rarely experienced by most human beings. This is perhaps why its study has been neglected in most schools of psychology. This causal mind has also been called the collective unconsciousness because all the knowledge of past, present, and future is lying in it. The information in the causal mind is not limited to the memory and experience of the individual, as is the data in the subconscious mind. It is because of the existence of this causal mind that we can explain the extraordinary experiences of prophets, psychics, clairvoyants, and others who have predicted events of the future or who have known things beyond the limits of their sense organs. So there is an Indian tale of a man who worshipped the goddess Kali in order to find a remedy for his sick child. Subsequently, he was told the proper medicine in a dream by the goddess. In this case, as dreamers went into deep sleep in which they penetrated beyond the Manomaya kosha into the causal mind. And so the first kosha is Atimanas kosha. In Ananda Marga philosophy, 3 layers of the causal mind are recognized. First layer is called Atimanas kosha. It is here where the desire for spiritual realization originates. The faculties of clairvoyance, intuition, and artistic creativity are characteristic functions of this layer. So this layer is responsible for our creativity and intuition mostly. Then the second layer of the causal mind is Vijnanamaya kosha, or special knowledge kosha. 2 of the most important intuitional qualities which humans can develop are expressed in this kosha. One is viveka, or true discrimination, the ability to know what is permanent and what is transitory. The true sage knows that the passing show of this material world is only a relative truth, and he or she is able to see the unchanging and absolute consciousness behind the panorama of this physical world. When viveka is developed, then the second quality, vairagya, gets expression. Vairagya is the enunciation of and non-attachment to transitory physical objects. It does not mean running away from worldly objects like a hermit in a cave, but rather psychic non-attachment to objects. This state is best expressed in the story of India's legendary sage king, Janaka, who is said to have remarked, "Even if my kingdom goes up in smoke, I have lost nothing." So this is a kosha of true discrimination between something that is transitory and something that is infinite, or the knowledge that is true in all ages and keeps being true. And the last one is Hiranamaya kosha. The final layer of the causal mind is Hiranamaya kosha, or golden layer. In this kosha, a practitioner of Tantra yoga can experience a brilliant golden effulgence and experience the pure eye feeling. When the aspirant reaches this layer, he or she has the awareness that only a thin veil separates him or her from the pure witnessing consciousness, Atman, which lies beyond the koshas. Also, Sri Ananda Murti compares the mind to a mirror, which can reflect the cosmic consciousness. He says that if the mirror is not clean, then the reflection of the consciousness is not clear. You can think of the koshas as the different layers of our mind's mirror. If there are imperfections in the different layers, then the reflection of consciousness is not fully perceived, and we may be unaware that there is pure consciousness beyond our mind. That is why Tantra utilizes the 8 steps of Ashtanga Yoga to purify each of the koshas. The development of the mind can be accomplished by natural processes, but it can be greatly accelerated by the application of the various yoga practices. And so how can we develop each of the kosha? Annamaya kosha can be developed through physical labor and exercise naturally, but we can use asanas and proper selection of food to help in this process. Kamamaya kosha, or conscious mind. Through physical clash, that is the struggle to live in the world, or also through yama and niyama, moral code of conduct, which strengthen our conscience. Manamaya kosha, or subconscious mind, through physical struggles or pranayama. Pranayama helps because the more slow we breathe, the better we can concentrate. And the deeper is our meditation. And also the better we can influence our subconscious mind. Atimanas kosha, the first layer of the causal mind, through psychic clash, struggles in the realm of mind, or pratyahara, the withdrawal of the senses from attachment to external objects. Because Atimanas kosha is also responsible for creative thinking. So when we withdraw our senses and try to imagine something internally, for example, the environment where we are in, it helps with our imagination. Vijnanamaya kosha, the second layer of the causal mind, can be developed through psychic struggles or the technique of dharana, or concentration. And the last one, Hiranamaya kosha, and the last layer of the causal mind, through dhyan, meditation, which is almost the last one in 8 limbs, Ashtanga yoga. So here's the resources. And that's it from me. Do you have any questions?
It's a difficult topic. I was thinking about the concept of samskaras, and do you remember which layer stores them? It's not a test, I'm just really curious. I'm even putting up
My
my
computer just died.
your mind, your phone, what died?
Her computer died because it was not dead.
Right on time.
Pretty much. So
Can you repeat the question, please?
I'm curious as to which layer of mind stores samskaras, which layer of mind creates them and which stores them.
I would say it's one of the causal mind layers.
That stores them?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. So unconscious or causal, which is the same, really, they store it. So probably we'll start somewhere in Atimanasa or Vijnanamaya, Hiranamaya. But I think I read somewhere maybe they begin at the Manamaya, because Manamaya is our general, is the mind that most human beings were at this one, like most of the time. It's the regular thinking mind, analytical mind. Yeah, difficult topic. Good presentation of this. Trying to find it, but I don't see it.
on my end, I'm mostly curious about what you learned during this process. I looked at the presentation so far and listened to it. It was very detailed, but I'm wondering how much of this you already knew and what of it was new to you.
I knew most of it, but not very in detail, and I couldn't tell you how each kosha was named and which order they were in. or the biopsychology also was a little bit.
Okay.
Mhm.
But that's the part that's really fascinating to me. So you already knew all of this within 6 months,
No, before,
even before that point.
kind of. I keep repeating this and learning it or listening about it from
Oh,
time
it's
to
like
time.
reinforcement, eh? Interesting. I'll need to re-look into the PowerPoint itself because the material is a little bit too dense for me. I remember parts of it, but nothing that I can again reference. The barrier of language is really proving to be difficult.
Unless you practice those things, it doesn't really, it's difficult to connect with. Yeah.
Aditya, how is it for you? Do you have any questions?
Mostly the questions that come to my mind when I look at this. It's not the first time that I've seen this chart, and because Nirmal shared it before. Uh, Questions that come to my mind is what are the practical set of things that we can practice on a daily basis so we can improve all the things that need to be improved. Basically, some practical examples of application this to our everyday life.
The last slide was about that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, but this chart gives you an idea. It's not something that you can start using right away. You have to understand what's going to work for you and what's not. If you understand what I'm saying.
I think it's a little bit hard to see how exactly you influence your layers of mind through specific practices, because we combine them, and so we just see the whole result in the end or in the process, that something improves and something doesn't.
Give me a second. I'm gonna pull up that PowerPoint real quick. The last. Give me a moment. Well, you can keep talking. I'm just trying to pull up the PowerPoint for you. So there.
There's an interesting one, maybe I can share with you. The book on neo-humanism. Neo-humanist education is based on the idea that different all aspects of the mind are addressed, so each layer is engaged. There used to be a chart. Let me see if it's here. It could be. So usually all aspects of human existence should be addressed, which means like all aspects of philosophy should be addressed. But that's talking about education. So axiology means ethics. Epistemology means system of knowledge, which is like different subjects pertaining to material world have to be studied and understood as much as possible. Ontology is mostly like philosophy of being. In Ananda Marga, it's like the Brahma Chakra, the cycle of creation, and the cycle of consciousness. Metaphysics is basically like the philosophy that we read, the different discourses on Dharma. Psychology, well, different fields of psychology, different schools of psychology, and obviously tantric practices, spiritual practices. If you practice all of them develop you holistically. But again, there used to be a chart which explains which one develops what. Max, do you want to share it while I'm looking for it?
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah,
I'll find that.
oh, I found it. I found it. Just one moment. I found it here.
Okay.
So here, Anamaya, Kamamaya, Manamaya, Atimanasa, Vigyanamaya, Hiranamaya. So stars, this is like 0 layer of mind, physical body. Biological system, so it's pretty simple, like you understand. Physiology, which is like exercise, nutrition, different movement, and so on and so forth. Kinesiology, basically, that is this stuff. Kamama is senses and instincts, and as far as I remember, this is governed by yama niyama, or character education, social norms, society, how to live in society, social cues and ethics, social psychology. Manamaya thinking, remembering, this is going somewhere to, I would say, cognitive psychology. So because this is about memory, and I was just listening to this lecture, and the guy basically differentiates 3 types of thinking. One is like memory refers to past, concentration refers to more like right now concentration, or you can say focus, in Russian внимание, focus, and the thinking about future, that would be what we called clairvoyance, or foreseeing. So this is more, I would say, or imagination. But I would say imagination and aesthetics start not in the subconscious mind, but here, as it says, aesthetics and imagination and creativity, because it's like more about future. That's why poets in Sanskrit are called kavi, or something else, like seers. They see the future. They kind of see what other people don't see. And then intuition, discrimination, and attachment is very, very subtle, because it's like moving closer to consciousness. And Hiranyamaya Kosha is basically almost touching soul, right? But again, there are other charts how to develop each one. But okay, now I'm gonna stop sharing. Max, go ahead.
Actually, I would like to comment on this as well. As much as I don't understand this whole medium very well, I do see parallels with something else that I know, which is alchemy. And alchemical knowledge, which is essentially a form of Christianic mysticism, one of the main goals is to develop the Philosopher's Stone, which is itself developed by obtaining the golden vessel. But let's just skip past the esoterics. The main point of alchemy is to essentially use different kinds of physical examples of internal processes that are spiritual and mental, and also explicitly show them physically. And a lot of people confuse the 2 and 3 layers regularly. The point, however, is that by using yourself as a medium and understanding what is a good idea, what is your subconscious and your conscious mind, and combining them together, you create the perfect vessel and thus the philosopher's stone and achieve a form of immortality. This is very close to what we're seeing here, although the process is different, it comes from a different culture, but the core of it is the same. And it's also the same core that you see across many other cultures in the ideas of what the perfect man represents. This is just a more specific version of what is considered otherwise a very mystical process of essentially getting you to the point where not only can you respect yourself and be respected by others, but also essentially transcend humanity in a very different way. Now, what you're going to do after you transcend humanity is up to you, but this is just one of the many ways you can approach this quest, if you will.
This is a beautiful example, actually. Makes me interested about in alchemy. Yeah, this is like medieval take on this spiritual idea. There's this famous book, Hermes Trismegistus, I think, which is basically, I think, the guy who wrote about this, about alchemy. This is very true. And the idea which I like that you emphasize is that you have to align each layer of the mind. You have to nourish and cultivate each one of them, each chakra, so that you tap into divinity. Because none of the layer is like necessarily higher or lower than the other. I used
They're
to
all
think,
part of you, and you must be whole in order to be better than what humanity has to offer. And better here isn't even the consequence of being faster or stronger. It's everything in all of it at the same time. So being the best of what you can be relies on you accepting every part of yourself
You have to
and
be
also improving each and every single one of them. You cannot let, for instance, or your knowledge overtake you. Otherwise, your social and heart aspects of your personality begins to fade. You cannot allow your body to overtake you. Otherwise, you're just a muscle head with essentially a brick for a brain, and so on and so forth. Everyone has the tendency of leaning towards one or the others, but by doing these kinds of activities and looking into this stuff, you realize that you try to balance it out as much as you can.
Yeah, right. Well put. Actually found an elaboration how to develop each one of them. So the first one is basically healthy lifestyle. So inner and outer ecological ethics. So exercise, nutrition, eating, pretty simple things. So the second one, Kamama Kosha, conscious mind, is practical life skills like technical communication, social skills, entrepreneurial skills, interpersonal skills. Then Manamaya or subconscious mind is cognitive ability, thinking, analytic, synthetic thinking, scientific research oriented. Yeah, cognitive temperament for some reason it says interesting. I guess mm, I guess emotional intelligence is somewhere here. I would say cognitive, like on the verge of here, because he's a social and here I would say. And then Atimanas is artistic, creativity. Yeah, it's even more concrete here. Manomaya is also language, linguistic skills are there. So learning new languages, that helps. Developing cognition, studying cognitive psychology, yeah. Problem solving, different subjects, studying all of this stuff. Yeah, Atimanas is more like creativity, musical, rhythm, and so on, different kinds of intelligences. Right, and Vijnanamaya is only for spiritual practices because it develops so-called high-frequency things like rational discrimination, conscience, love, compassion, and so on and so forth, and intuition. And only then, the final point is neo-humanism arises in the final layer of the mind. But in order to really feel neo-humanism, which is love, not only theoretical love for others, but practical love, basically you become a Buddha or Sadvipra, ideal intellectual, or somebody who's not just has a theory, but lives, practices his life loving others practically, doing some good things in the practical world. So this is, of course, a path. Anyways, it's 10 p.m. I would say
Can you share this document, please?
it's not a document, it's a book.
Oh, okay. Is it
I'll
big?
share some of the print screens I took if that helps.
I can take a how to say, a screenshot of
Yeah,
the entire.
screenshot. Yeah.
Okay, so good. Thank you for presenting. Next week we will. I'm doing different approaches, cross-cultural views on meditation. So I'll stop recording now.